give more constituencies to these big constituencies, I think it's a welcome idea. I would want Shuangandu MP to support. I would want Nyimba MP to Kasempa support. If they don't support, you people out there, you are hearing me. You people in Chinsari, you are hearing me. You people in Shuangandu, you are hearing Madam Speaker, people must pay attention. Through the people must pay attention. The president wants to give them more money, but they are refusing. So they should do to them. What to do to them? Come 2026, those who are refusing more money in their constituencies must be shown the door.
Order, honorable member. Order. There is an indication for a point of order. The honorable member for Chinsari, what is your point of order?
Thank you very much for allowing me to rise to 71. Madam Speaker, I am listening quietly here, attentively, following the debate by my colleague from Winilonga. Now, he's misleading the public that the president wants to give them money and their representative refuses. The people of Chinsari are already waiting for the CDF for 2024, which has not come. And he's saying they want to give us more money, and I'm refusing. Yet I'm waiting for the CDF for last year. Is it in order to mislead the public? The people in Lusaka, the people in Chinsari, the people in Zambia, and in the sub-region, Madam Speaker, misleading them with impunity. The people of Chinsari want money, actually. They want to be given money. Money for CDF, money for the township roads, money for Nambuluma to Chinsali Road, money for Chinsari to Mulilansoro Road. The government is failing to do all those things, but he is here saying that the president wants to give the people of Chinsari money and the representative is refusing. Is he in order? Madam Speaker. I think you're serious ruling, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. From what I got from the honorable member who is on the floor, he brought in the aspect of money as he was talking about the CDF. For me, the only mistake that the honorable member from Winirunga made was to bring or to discuss or debate the other honorable members that are in the House. So the honorable member for Winirunga, can you please confine yourself to the speech that was given by the president without drawing in your debate the honorable members and their people that are seated in this House? You may continue, honorable member for Winirunga.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the rules with the funding of Constituency Development Fund is that you apply. When you exhaust the money, you make an application for more money. So if a council has not received, it means that they did not make an application to the Ministry of Local Government. That is the current system as it stands today. Madam Speaker, I think that there is need for all of us to support delimitation so that we can serve our people in all the parts of our country properly with adequate resources so that the people can receive services. As it is today, some constituencies have difficulties, like I've said earlier, to provide services to all the corners of their constituencies because the resources are inadequate. So it is important we support this proposition, the amendment to the Constitution, so that we can have adequate resources to provide services to our people. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Chimono.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The people of Chimono will just be brief, Madam Speaker, and they'll look at maybe 2 or 3 items that actually concern their youth. Madam Speaker, I'll look at morality and ethics. Here I'm looking at alcohol and substance abuse, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the question is, Chimono has got a lot of youth that are now glued to substance abuse. The question is, how much are we doing to help? Madam Speaker, I think what we're doing is we're trying to incarcerate them and actually kill their future. Madam Speaker, these are victims of being addicted. One kingpin there, Madam Speaker, who gives them the drugs to take and to traffic. And here are the cops, Madam Speaker, let me call them the police officers or law enforcement agencies, Madam Speaker, who are arresting these poor young youth and considering them, Madam Speaker, to be traffickers. Madam Speaker, these youth that they are arresting from Chimono, Madam Speaker, cannot even be considered to be traffickers. It's unfortunate that right now they're serving jail terms. Madam Speaker, here's a youth who's only moving with flip-flops. Madam Speaker, here's a youth who lives with his parents and his dad cannot handle him. So he gives him a place behind his house to build a quarter, Madam Speaker, made of iron roofing. This is a youth that, Madam Speaker, the police will pounce on and find him with perhaps a gram or more of what should be considered as a trafficker. Madam Speaker, the police will take this youth, instead of helping him, take him to a rehab center, Madam Speaker, they take him to court takes him to jail. A lot of youth that are in jail. But Madam Speaker, the question is, are we helping?
Member from Nkana, please avoid debating while seated. Give room to your friend or your colleague or the Honourable Member for Chimwemwe to debate freely without interjections. I don't think he needs your help. May the Honourable Member for Chimwemwe.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, our law enforcement officers, Madam Speaker, are being helpful by sending that youth to prison. Madam Speaker, this youth does not need to be in prison because what they're doing, Madam Speaker, they're actually making the situation worse. Here are the youths from Chimono, Madam Speaker, who are now in serving jail terms. Madam Speaker, they've been taken to jail. They are not going to reform because they're not being taken to rehabilitation centers. But what they've done is, Madam Speaker, they've taken them to a skills development center. Madam Speaker, prison also is a skills development center. Unfortunately, it does not give them the skill that they'll come back to and society will appreciate. Because now the skill they're going to learn, Madam Speaker, is how to break into homes, how to be a better robber, how to snatch purses, Madam Speaker, and how to harass people. This is what we're doing to the youth. Are we helping them, Madam Speaker? No. What we need to do is, Madam Speaker, in other countries, Madam Speaker, a youth found with drugs, Madam Speaker, is not really arrested. They're actually detained, and they're used, Madam Speaker, as what you call, Madam Speaker, the people that can direct them to the kingpins. That's what we need. Then after they do that, Madam Speaker, they're taken to a rehab center. Madam Speaker, what we need to do is we need to put more effort and more funds in our rehab stations. Madam Speaker, we do not have enough. Even the private ones, Madam Speaker, we have, they do not have qualified staff. This is where government should come in, Madam Speaker, because we need to change the notion and change the idea of calling our youth traffickers, Madam Speaker. Go to private abuse, Madam. We have pharmacies, Madam Speaker. We have the owners of the pharmacies that import drugs. I wonder whether the government takes stock of the drug that these pharmacies are buying. I don't know what they call it. They call it Atan. I don't know whether that's a correct name or not. But, Madam Speaker, this is sold to school kids. And we all know that once you get glued to such things, Madam Speaker, you become an addict. As you grow, Madam Speaker, you cannot do without. This is what the government should do, Madam Speaker. Instead of having these 4,728 convicts, we call in convicts, Madam Speaker. These 427,000, maybe perhaps just 20%, Madam Speaker, are the kingpins. What we need is, Madam Speaker, not to send them to prison. Madam Speaker, and another issue that people of Chimwemwe are concerned about, Madam Speaker, is gender-based violence. It's true, Madam Speaker, we've seen a decrease, and a decrease on the female victims. But, Madam Speaker, we have not looked at the male victims. Madam Speaker, the male victims now have become serious concern to the public. Madam Speaker, most male victims, Madam Speaker, now are being battered to death, shot at, Madam Speaker, scorched with hot liquids, Madam Speaker, and they fail to go to the police. Madam Speaker, the brave ones that go to the police, Madam Speaker, are actually mocked by the police. As a result, Madam Speaker, they cannot go back there. They ask him, look at your stature. How do you come and report your wife? Because she's doing this. Madam Speaker, nobody talks about the male. We all talk about the females. Madam Speaker, gender-based violence should be balanced, because we've got so many fathers, Madam Speaker, that have lost lives because of gender-based violence. Madam Speaker, the last one I'll look at is a person who is not utilizing his CDF, Madam Speaker, is committing an offense, and we could consider that as economic sabotage. Madam Speaker, I do agree. But the question is, who are the perpetrators, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, it is the local government ministry at provincial level. Here's a very good example, Madam Speaker, from Chimwemwe. Disaster component, Madam Speaker. We've had 4 or 5 disasters, Madam Speaker. As far back as last year, we applied for the disasters, Madam Speaker, because one is a bridge that lets the kids go to school, takes them 10 minutes from the area that they leave and the next school. Madam Speaker, but now that bridge has not been attended to because our documents are still resting. I don't know whether they're resting or sleeping in Ndola, Madam Speaker, and we call that disaster component. Madam Speaker, these kids have to walk round the compound, taking them an hour. Madam Speaker, imagine, these are the kids that don't walk, they trot, they run. And if you were to give me an opportunity to walk around, Madam Speaker, it would take me 2 hours. And this is what we're saying. If it's community sabotage, Madam Speaker, it is local government institution, Madam Speaker, actually local government at provincial level, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, with those few words, I think the people of Chimwemwe would say thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Pemba.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Pemba constituency to debate the motion on the floor of the House. Madam Speaker, when the President addressed the nation and this August House, he indicated that the government is working tirelessly to addressing the social ills. And to this effect, 4,728 suspects involved in production and trafficking of illegal drugs were arrested in 2024. Madam Speaker, there are other interventions that have been introduced through CDF to curb illicit activities by our youths. We have a component to support our youths under youth and women empowerment and also under the skills. They say people who are not working, or let me say the idle mind, is the devil's workshop. When our youths are not doing anything, they are actually forced to involve themselves in a lot of illicit activities that include drug abuse. Madam Speaker, through CDF, we have our youths who are trained under skills, and as a result, most of our youths are kept busy. This is also helping to curb the activities that are not good to our youths. The issue of teenage pregnancies and early marriages is also being addressed under CDF by the introduction of free education. Most of our girls who, if it was not for the enhanced CDF, maybe could have been married or could have actually gotten pregnant, they are now in school. It means the government is doing a lot to curb early marriages and early pregnancies. Madam Speaker, let me also comment on the issue of the loans under CDF. The President indicated and advised the nation that we need to improve when it comes to paying for these loans that our youths are getting. The government has come up with a lot of interventions to address the issue of economy by also include the loans and the grants. We also have the issue of SAF. The FISIP, it's also meant to address the issue of economy in this nation. The CEEC is also meant to address the issue of economy in this nation. But one challenge we seem to have is that people, they think when they get money or loans from government, they can do anything with this money without paying back. Madam Speaker, it is high time, as honorable members start encouraging our youths to pay back, because this is the money that is supposed to support others, our grandchildren and our other relatives. If they don't pay back, it means it will even become difficult for the government to continue pumping these resources that are really meant to improve the lives of our people. Madam Speaker, we are almost getting into elections, and I have a message to the Zambian people, especially those who got loans. Let's pay back. It is not good to hold the government and classroom by threatening that 2026 or any other election is coming. These are the monies that belong to the people, and these monies should not be abused. Let me comment on the issue of SAF. There are people who have been getting, who got these monies. Some, they don't even have fields. Sometimes you even wonder why people get money with pretext to invest these monies into agriculture, and yet they don't even have a lima. It is very important that people should understand that the government is fighting poverty. The government is pumping these resources so that the people's lives is being uplifted. Take, for instance, Pemba. About 7 million have been pumped into Pemba on this program. Now, can you imagine if people don't pay? It means the government will lose resources. It means those who are supposed to get these resources the following year, they will not have these resources. It means our relatives in Chinsari and the other constituencies who are supposed to benefit from these resources will not have them. Then it means this government will not continue pumping these resources. The people should appreciate the government efforts by paying back. If people don't pay back, it means they don't appreciate. And when people don't appreciate, then at a later stage, we will see this project not profitable and resource draining to the government. And it will mean we will have to stop pumping these resources. Who will suffer at the end of the day? It is ourselves. So, to thank the government, I encourage all Zambian people to make sure that when we get loans, CEC, CDF, and SAF, and any other loans, let us develop the system that we encourage people to pay. Let me also request the means of small scale. I think we need to come up with a system, because we have officers in our constituencies. What are our officers doing? Do they actually educate our people that they need to pay back when they get loans? If they are not doing that, I think it is very important that we come up with a system, we come up with resources so that these officers should not just sit in their offices, let them educate our people, because most of our people do not understand or may not actually have the mind of paying these loans. We need to inculcate this mindset change so that people should start paying back. With these few words, Madam Speaker, I beg to move. And I support the speech by the President. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving an opportunity for people of Chadiza just to say a few words on the speech which was submitted to this House by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia. Madam Speaker, I will restrict my debate to only 2 pages, on page 11 and page 19. I'll quote from the speech from the President. The President on page 11 stated that growth of a strong economy is not the responsibility of one individual, nor by government alone, but by the sweat, ambition, and unity of the entire nation, including the private sector. Madam Speaker, this is a very important matter because it affects everyone. It doesn't matter which political party you belong to, but a good economy actually benefits everyone. And therefore, I expect all members of Parliament to support the President in his quest to make our economy good. And he has demonstrated, the President has demonstrated his zeal or desire to ensure that he makes his economy better from the way he found it. What I want to state, Madam Speaker, is dealing with the economy, first of all, has to do with the cost of doing business or creating an environment which is ideal or suitable for one to prosper with regards to doing business. But this environment to be created, this is directly proportionate to the cost of living, because if that environment is created, a good environment, I mean, which means the cost of living will definitely just improve. And if the cost of living has improved, which means, to me, the cost of living actually is direct proportionate to the moral standing of any community. Because if the cost of living is okay in a country, you find that things will just be normal for most of the citizens. But if it's not okay, that leads to moral decay. That's how you find most people indulging in alcohol abuse and substance abuse and many other bad devices that damage the standing or the health of people in a nutshell. I won't talk much here because the debaters who spoke before me have fully addressed this matter. Madam Speaker, permit me to go to page 19. What is on page 19, Madam Speaker, is what is so dear to me and my people from my constituency. On page 19, I would like to quote the President. The President stated that in order to improve distribution and deliver resources equitably and fairly to communities, there will be need to delimitate or constituencies by geography and population. This will require constitutional amendment. Madam Speaker, what I'm going to speak about here is directly coming to the wishes of the people of Chadiza. The people of Chadiza are very categorical with regards to delimitation. So those of us who are trying to go against what the President wishes to do to people of Chadiza, please consider yourselves enemies of the people of Chadiza. Madam Speaker, people of Chadiza have been suppressed or undermined for a long period of time. If you are to visit this constituency, Madam Speaker, it's a constituency of 20 wards. And we are receiving the same CDF allocation with the constituencies with only 4 wards. How do we expedite or quicken development in that regard? So people of Chadiza feel mistreated with regards to what is obtaining currently. And therefore, they have unanimously agreed to support the presidential sentiment to delimitate this constituency. And many other constituencies which by geography are so vast. You can't deliver development to a constituency which is so vast. It's impossible, because if you look at the mode of development which the current government has adopted, it's that of using CDF. So if we have to receive resources equitably, which means even the sizes of our constituencies have to be similar. Madam Speaker, this issue of delimitation actually will trickle down to expediting development in most of the constituencies that are vast. And it won't, because I heard someone talking about increasing the expenditure in terms of governance. Madam Speaker, when you are talking about something, it's better you do what is called a cost-benefit analysis. We are talking about bringing an additional member of parliament against what sort of benefits that may come with delimitation. How many people are going to benefit with regards to the empowerment which comes through grants under CDF? We are talking about bringing a single MP against the masses that will benefit from the resources that will be increased. You see, so I wonder if someone comes here and says, no, you need to push money into people's stomachs, because the CDF itself is structured in such a way that it's already pushing monies to the ordinary people out there in the society. Madam Speaker, we can't talk about the size of this chamber today when before you are making the same propositions of wanting to increase the constituencies. What has so changed today that this chamber is small today when before you used to propose to increase the numbers of MPs? Madam Speaker, we have visited several place areas where we have done our parliamentary visits. We have seen how the space of the National Assembly building has. There's a lot of dead space here. We don't need a new building here. There's a lot of dead spaces. We have compared ourselves with other jurisdictions where we have seen how best and efficient our friends have used the space. The question of space doesn't arrive here when people of Chadiza would want to benefit as much as they have been benefiting before. Madam Speaker, I don't want to bore my colleagues here. With those few remarks, people of Chadiza are submitting that they are supporting the President in his quest to develop this country. Madam Speaker, thank you.
The Honourable Member for Luena. The Honourable Member for Luena.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The people of Luena are grateful for the opportunity to debate the speech that was delivered to the House in accordance with Article 8 and Article 9 of the Constitution by the Republican President. Madam Speaker, in a few words, the people of Luena have welcomed the speech and they described it as the appropriate speech for such a time as this one. Madam Speaker, why are they saying it is appropriate for such a time as this one? It is because, Madam Speaker, the Constitution requires to report the progress made on the application of the values that are outlined in the Constitution, and that naturally is over the period since the last time he reported to this August House. And he did so perfectly, because there was more than enough to report under each one of them. Madam Speaker, let's start with deepening democracy. Madam Speaker, democracy is not a costless issue for a nation. In other words, it costs money in order to enhance the quality of democracy. And when in we say we do hereby bequeath unto ourselves this Constitution, we are alive to the fact that in order to live up to the aspirations of that constitution, there shall be resources needed. And Madam Speaker, it is this that the President was alluding to when he spoke about the need for us to revisit our constitution in order to enhance the quality of democracy. It is myopic, Madam Speaker, to suggest that the better the quality of representation the people are getting, the lower the quality of life they will be living. Because it is the exact opposite. When the people are getting better representation, because the MP is able to interact with people and explain government programs and get their desires and bring them to this House and therefore to the executive, so shall be the response also be effectively and efficiently executed to the people. And that can only be done when, Madam Speaker, we have got an appropriate representation in terms of the geographical area that the Member of Parliament has to cover, in terms of the number of people, population, that the Member of Parliament has to address. A lot of us here will attest to the fact that in some of our constituencies, just to travel from the constituency to the last ward, the whole day. And when you get there, if you are to bring the people in that ward in one location, some of them will have to work for 2 days to get to the place where you will have the meeting. What kind of quality representation is that we want to continue perpetuating in 2025, Madam Speaker? So the call for us to revisit the Constitution is timely. And I think those that do not want the Constitution to be touched do not have the interest of the people of Zambia at heart. And the people of Rwanda would want to further submit that it's not only the issue of delimitation. There are other issues, other areas of the Constitution that we should not be scared of touching, because our quest to improve the governance of the country must never be stopped on the basis that, oh no, we can't touch the Constitution because we are about to go for elections. Every time there will be elections coming up, whether they are 5 years away, 4 years away, 2 years away, there will always be elections coming up. And that's part and parcel of the system we have chosen for ourselves. Madam Speaker, the people of Rwanda are mindful of one area that we think is important to touch on, even as we are talking about delimitation. How are we going to improve the quality of representation and also the demographics in terms of women, in terms of youth, and in terms of people with disabilities? How can anyone say don't touch the Constitution? Because they don't want the people they represent to govern with them? Why wouldn't you want those women and youth and people with disabilities to get to be with you in this House and address their issues? And that's what the President was dealing with, was talking about when he talked about the quality of governance. Madam Speaker, the other area that the President touched on, the issue of patriotism. Madam Speaker, if we are truly true to ourselves and we want to provide the leadership that will leave a mark in the wake of our departure when God calls us, Madam Speaker, we will have to make sure that we inculcate this concept of patriotism, both in ourselves and in our children and the citizenry at large. Why is that important, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, there is so much ill will against the nation from some among us. There are people that are so much in a hurry to paint the nation black, and in the process paint themselves black, peddling all kinds of falsehoods on social media. This technology that has come to enhance our quality and the level of interaction can also be a bullet that can ignite an unquenchable fire if we are not careful. And that's why the issue of patriotism is important. It should run across everything we do. The way we do our politics, the way we deliver development to the people. There are some people who still yearn for the yesteryears, because in those days they were instructing winning elections as opposed to leaving the people to choose. How were they doing so, Madam Speaker? Every election was turned into a battlefront. It was a war zone. And how quickly can we forget? We have had elections this year. I, for one, was in Petauke Central, Madam Speaker. I was in Kaumbwe when we had the first by-election at parliamentary level, Madam Speaker. Sometimes even the locals wouldn't know that there is actually a by-election going on until you go and appeal to them that, hey, there's a by-election coming up, vote for our candidate. Previously, Madam Speaker, people would stop conducting their normal businesses. Why? Because if you get caught up in the commanders leading their troops, you will regret the day you were born. And those days are gone.
Push it out.
Why would anyone want to take us back to those days, Madam Speaker? With these few words, Madam Speaker, we thank the President for that appropriate speech, and we say thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. The Honorable Mukushi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to sincerely appreciate you for giving me an opportunity to say a few things on the speech that was rendered in this House last Friday against the President of the Republic, and if and I would want to justify why I can grade this speech on 1 out of 10, because, Madam Speaker, when we say His Excellency is supposed to come and report on progress, we have only been hearing about the same things. 2022, 2023, 2024, now we are in 2025, same things, Madam Speaker. Now they are remaining with 1 year to go. These UPND people, they are going next year. Madam Speaker, I will speak about ethics and morality. Madam Speaker, when you talk about morality and ethics, we are required to conduct ourselves morally and ethically upright. Today, Madam Speaker, we have a Secretary General of a particular party of this ruling party calling the Bishop Lucifer. They have not apologized up to today.
Order, Honorable Member. Order, Honorable Member for Mukushi South. We are now going outside the speech of the President.
Ethics.
Can we please stick to the speech that was delivered in this House on Friday? And let us avoid bringing in people in here who cannot defend themselves. The Secretary General is not here to defend himself. So avoid bringing people in this House who cannot defend themselves. Those are the rules of the House. Can you focus on the speech? You may continue.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Someone called the Bishop Lucifer, and up to today, that person has not apologized. And it is just normal, we are talking about ethics, and it is just normal, Madam Speaker, to apologize when you know you are wrong. Me, I come from a Catholic church. When you call a Bishop Lucifer, Madam Speaker, it means you are calling even the flock. What about the flock?
Honorable
Madam
Member,
Speaker,
we are all, some of us are all Catholics, but
today, Madam Speaker, when you talk about democracy and constitutionalism,
Order. I think I've already guided. Don't bring in other members into your debate. There are a lot of Catholics here outside. Please don't bring them in your debate. Just be focused on the speech. It's very simple, clear, straightforward. If you don't agree, just be straightforward to say, I don't agree with this because of that and that. Instead of bringing people now, you want the whole Catholic Church to be involved in your debate. You are not allowed to do so, Honorable Member. Can you be focused to the speech of the President? You may continue.
Madam Speaker, when you talk about constitutionalism and democracy, today you can have people to go and parade, and I want to appeal to UPND. Sometimes it's important, those handling the presidents should always be able to guide the presidents properly. You cannot go and parade the presidents and parade a political party that is entangled in so many legal jargons and says we are endorsing and says we are going to go into alliance, when you even know that
the Honorable Member for Mukushi South. I wonder whether what you are debating is in the speech. Can you link up whatever you are saying to the speech? The Honorable Member for Mukushi, if you cannot relate your debate to the content of the speech, I'm afraid I'm going to curtail your debate. Okay, you may continue.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when you talk about equity, dignity and human and social justice and equality, we must be seen to be doing it. Today, Madam Speaker, as we speak, all the projects in Rwano district have been terminated. And in some districts, the contracts are going on. Where is the equity? Because we are talking about equity. Madam Speaker,
members, let's not debate who sit.
Madam Speaker, when we talk about equity, Rwanda was declared a district, and when you came, you UPND people, you found the projects running. And the only thing that you have done in Rwanda is to terminate all the projects, and that's the achievement. They will kick you out in 2026. You are going in 2026. You are a bad government. Bad government, UPND. Madam Speaker, all the projects that they found, this UPND, they cancelled. Where is the equity? When you talk about equity, where is the equity? Madam Speaker, you must be seen to be doing what you are talking about. Madam Speaker, when you talk about the FISIP, it's a disaster. When you talk about SAF, someone was boasting about SAF. Madam Speaker, it is a disaster. People did not receive fertilizer according to the way they were supposed to have been given. And here we are, some people are boasting. What you are saying here and what is on the ground, they are two different things. Go there and find out and speak to the people. They will tell you that things are not okay. Madam Speaker, people are suffering. If this UPND, the government thinks that people are not suffering, today I'm telling you that people are suffering. People are failing to put food on the table because of the economic hardships that you, UPND, have created for the people of Zambia. And therefore, the only ticket that you have, Madam Speaker, the ticket they have next year, is to kick them out of government. Today, Madam Speaker, some churches have even refused to participate in the women's celebration. Why? It's because of bad governance. Some churches have refused to participate in the women's celebration. Why, Madam Speaker? It's because you are failing to unite this country. You are a bad government. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I need your protection. Someone there is calling me a thief when he knows that she's a big
Honorable
thief.
member, you are protected. Please
Madam Speaker,
continue.
when you talk about corruption, Madam Speaker, today as we speak, 2024 FIC report, 3 billion has gone missing up to today. They have failed to arrest the people who externalized 3 billion. And I'm asking for you, where the $3 billion have gone, where you have taken $3 billion, you PND. In 2023, Madam Speaker, $2 billion gone out of this. These UPND up to now, they have failed to tell us where they have taken the 2.2 billion in 2026. You'll be judged by your acts. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I thank you.
The honorable member for Mukushi South. The word that you used is unparliamentary. Can you please withdraw?
Which one, Madam? Which one, Madam Speaker? Which one? Have you bought from... Madam Speaker, I need your protection. I'm running. I will... Speaker.
And the honorable member for Mukushi South, you kept on saying that you'll be kicked out. I think that is the home. It should come from the Zambian people, not from the individual, you alone. The Zambian people will determine. So we make progress. The honorable member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity for the people of Solwezi East to add a voice on the presidential address through this House on the progress made in the application of national value principles. Madam Speaker, I always get surprised by some people who really are failing to appreciate the presidential address. There is a saying, Madam Speaker, in Bemba, that Mungulu, kwendo Mungulu, waponena na Mungulu, nengulu shakuingila. Meaning, you know, when you have no vision and you are following a leader who has no vision, you actually, meaning you fall into a ditch. And this is what we have seen in the past, where a leader can say, I have no vision. And some people followed them. And today they are still following.
Just a guide, honorable member, like I guided before. Can we please stick to the speech? And whatever you are bringing out, can you marry it with the speech?
Madam
You may
Speaker,
continue.
thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I'm just talking about vision. And we have a leader with a vision. And this came to this House. This is a leader who saw the vision. Madam, many things. I will just take a few minutes to point out one or two. First and foremost, the people of Solwezi East, Shindamo District, Madam Speaker, appreciate Yama, Kasempa, Solwezi Central, Kalunga first. So when we are so excited, I would say, meaning we are so excited from inside, and we appreciate what the President actually pronounced. And much more, the people of Northwestern, Madam Speaker, are even looking forward, especially that Northwestern is so vast a province. We are actually looking for a day who actually divide even that vast province, that we can have two provinces, and much more we appreciate the constituencies we have. Means more development. Fortunate again, Speaker, for those who don't appreciate the concept. Madam Speaker, another point that I want to articulate is on the economic side. Madam Speaker, the President alluded to the fact that failure to utilize CDF is tantamount to economic sabotage. And we as the people of Northwestern and people of Mushindamo, we have done so much, Madam Speaker. If you come to Mushindamo, you'll be surprised what we've done in just under compared to what was done since independence. It is so vast. It is there even on Parliamentary TV, what we have done in Mushindamo. And we are there after to appreciate the President that this is the way to go. And the President said, CDF is a game changer, and we have seen it in Mushindamo, Madam Speaker. It is unfortunate for those who can't appreciate that. It's unfortunate for those who can't even utilize the CDF that they are given. Because when you utilize the money finishes, you have to claim government that we have exhausted the money. It's unfortunate. And the people of Zambia are seeing and they have heard those who are economically sabotaging the government. Madam Speaker, for us it is a plus. We are doing it. Madam Speaker, there is also another point that I want to touch on briefly, that is on democracy and constitutionalism. Madam Speaker, the President and freely express themselves responsibly, especially those in the rural areas, covering all types of media and much more. Madam Speaker, we talked about radio stations, just in addition. And for me, Madam Speaker, I got surprised when we saw that program, and if you look at the allocation of frequencies, especially those which cover parliamentary radio, Madam Speaker, they were done by the previous government. If you look at the way the frequencies are distributed, Madam Speaker, Northwestern, Western, Southern, only 6 radio frequencies. That is surprising. But if you look on the other side, but this is what the President says, we need to distribute across the we are going to see more radio frequencies covering every part of Zambia, so that the voice of Parliament, the voice of the President, the voice of our leaders, the New Dawn government, should be heard across the nation, so that people are enlightened. As you know, Madam Speaker, knowledge is power. Madam Speaker, I want to end by emphasizing on the legal issues. The President talked about justice delayed is justice denied. Madam Speaker, if you look at the cases, the case loads in our judiciary, it is so alarming. You find that our judges, the legal people are so exhausted because of the cases. If you do recall, the President pronounced that within 3 months, the cases should be disposed of. But today, the cases are taking 1 year, 2 years, even 5 years. There is a call to duty, Madam Speaker, that we need to increase the number of judges. And I'm sure that, Madam Speaker, we did appropriate the budget, and it is up to the judiciary to actually increase the number of judges so that cases that are supposed to be disposed of within the shortest possible time are done accordingly. So, Madam Speaker, for me, this speech was actually a speech that came from a visionary leader. And we do support it as the people of Solwezi East. And, Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Siavonga.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we appreciate the opportunity to be able to make few comments on the speech delivered to this House by the President on Friday last week. That speech, Madam Speaker, was so inspirational, and we even wonder if you find people that are going to say negative things about that speech. Madam Speaker, the President is mandated, is constitutionally mandated to come and update the nation on the progress that is being made in this nation. Update the nation on the progress that have been made. And from what the president brought to this house, every level-headed person would be able to appreciate that indeed this country is moving from point 1 to point B every year. Just like the government is increasing CDF every year, there is a new figure. We have seen a lot of things happening. Madam Speaker, when we talk about the education policy, which the President spoke about, you realize that more than 200 of our children, of the citizens of this nation, were out there without knowledge. But through the free education policy which the government implemented, the UPND New Dawn government, we have seen more than 2 million coming back into school. An educated nation is a developed nation. And this is the reason as to why the President consistently has been saying education is the best equalizer. And we have seen people that are coming from underprivileged communities or families rising up to be counted and to be responsible citizens of this nation through education. When it comes to governance, Madam Speaker, we do not want to be reminded of what happened yesterday. And at times when I see the debates of our colleagues, you realize that there is something they are missing, something very important that they used to enjoy. But one thing that this government pronounced even before forming government was that they are going to stop Gadarism, that violence will be the thing of the past. We have seen of late by-elections, bloodless by-elections. Past, we are reminded of what happened in Namarundu in Chilanga. We are reminded of what happened in Rwansha and many other places, even in Ndola, where then the opposition leader, who is His Excellency now the President, had to go through the roof. And the people are excited. And this is a country, like the President mentioned, Madam Speaker, that voluntarily the UPND invited the UN rapporteur to come and scrutinize, come and assess the situation where it is today and where it was 5 years ago. And people are excited, people from a certain section, they are so excited because they thought they are going to influence the outcome of her assessment or whatever she wanted to do. We know that our colleagues are so frustrated, Madam Speaker, because when you don't have a political party, when you don't have a leader, you do not know that in the next 12 months, who is going to sign your adoption certificate? You have the reason to be disorganized at some point. Madam Speaker, we have political orphans. And those are the facts. And when you look at today's piece, we had the by-elections in Pambashi, we had the by-election in Kawambwa, by-elections in Petauke Central. You saw the opposition and the ruling party interacting, greeting each other. One of the witnesses is our Honorable Member of Parliament for Kaputa, the Minister of Sports. You can check on him, no scratch. If it was those days, it was actually very dangerous to go and campaign in any by-election. Sesheke, death trap. It was so dangerous. But this time around, even in those days, even just putting a regalia red thing, that was death warrant for you. But this time around, anybody can walk anywhere, anybody can say anything. Just last week, Madam Speaker, we had one of the leaders of the opposition political party who appeared at our local radio station, Kariba FM. And somebody appeared there. The only question they asked him to say, no, yes, we have heard what you have said, the opposition leader, but I think your position, try to be the position of a councillor, because you were a cabinet minister, and today you left everything that you left, or everything that this country is going through was created by the people. The who is now today coming as a saint, who is that you can lead this country better than what we are seeing today. Madam Speaker, when you look at, when you talk of the CDF itself, where we had no clinics, today we have clinics. Where we had no classrooms, today we have classrooms. And there is no constituency, unless in those constituencies where they are lamenting to say all the contracts have been terminated. Where is the leadership in that constituency? How do one allow such a situation to occur when you are a leader, when you are leading in that constituency, and you come to the House to represent the people, and you get the same amount that everyone gets equally at the same time, and you have your projects not complete in that particular constituency? Madam Speaker, CDF today, no one, and this is one thing that the government has put in place during our terrible year, 2024, when we had that drought, when we went through a drought year. That time, there are a lot of things that came upon our families, but government had to put a lot of measures, and one of the measures that the government brought in was cash for work. And we have seen that people in our communities, people were able to buy food because that money could reach the people. Today, through CDF, we are able to send our children, somebody who has never been to school, somebody who has gone maybe up to grade 7, you send them to skills development, skills training. They come back, he is a welder. You give him a loan, that person will be able to start business and will start maybe manufacturing window frames, door frames, any metallic, and they are selling. At the end of the day, to employ others, they give employment to the locals. When it comes to the employment by government, every year the government employing teachers is employing, health workers, they are employing defense personnel. We have seen that. We have never seen that. And the advert for all these activities, Madam Speaker, is through public media. And everybody is able to see, oh, there is an advert, they want teachers, there is an advert, they want police officers, there is an advert, they want military personnel. We are able to do that. That is a news that was never heard in the past. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. We know that this government is in the right hands.
The Honorable Member for Narikwanda.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for giving me time to debate on the motion on the floor. Madam Speaker, I'm so delighted that some people from the opposition or on your left were debating about delimitation and they are against this item. Today, look at the population which we have in Zambia and the population we had in 1964. I'll give you details from my own research. In 1964, we had a general election, and there were 75 members of parliament, and the population was 3,542,764. In 1991, when we had about party democracy coming into Zambia, the number of members of parliament was increased. In between, there were some increases, but I'm so particular with 1991. The number was increased to 150, and the population was 7,880,466. 2016, the number was increased from 150 to 156, and the population was 16,767,761. Now, Madam Speaker, when you look at the growth in the population, is it necessary for us to keep a static number of members of parliament representing the population at hand now? In my opinion, it's very unrealistic, because we are not going to represent the people properly. This is against the largest constituencies we have. Go to the Rwanda now. The Rwanda has got 11 wards, but look at the size of those wards. It takes time
for you to go there. Even the terrain will not allow you. I know people have been saying, let's go and accomplish the constituency office in Rwanda. People have been avoiding because the terrain is bad, the constituency is too huge. So there's a need for us to agree and delimitate the constituencies so that we increase, so that we can represent the people properly. Now for me to hear someone on the other side say, you want to bring the constitution here so that you can delimitate the constituencies. Maybe his constituency is too small, or it's within town where he's able to go around the constituency within 2 or 3 days. Now, the same members of parliament on your left, they were talking about, they are against bringing the constitution into here so that we can change it. I will define the constitution for them so that they can understand. It is a body of fundamental principles or established precedents according to which a state or organization is governed. So it's on this document where we shall base our delimitation. Without bringing the constitution here, honorable members forget about the delimitation of the constituencies. So we have to agree to come and change the constitution so that we can delimitate the constituencies. But why should we change the constitution? For us to change the constitution, the reason is to adjust provisions that are inadequate to respond to new needs, including supplementing rights. Otherwise, it will not reflect social realities and the political needs over time. So what I'm trying to say is, the history of the numbers I gave you is now overruling what is in the Constitution. So there's need for us to amend the Constitution so that we can delimitate the constituencies. So for me, there are 2 reasons why we should change the Constitution. 1, the population has increased. 2, the constituencies are just too big. The second part, one honorable member yesterday was talking about the violence which has been taking place during by-elections. My colleagues talked about it, but I'll be giving you exact dates and what happened. Our council chairperson, it was deadly. A person was killed. Livingston Central, an MP election, it was deadly. People were arrested for no apparent reasons. Chilanga, as my friend talked about, that was on the 11th of June 2018. It was violent. No one expected that people can come out very well. Let's go to check. Everyone here knows what happened. That was on the 14th of February 2019. People had to scamper. They went into the forest to hide themselves. How the UPND won that election, only God knows. So, all in all, what I'm saying, let us now come to the current situation. I am coming from a by-election in Rwanda. I was taking photos with members of other political parties. People were dancing. They were enjoying themselves. No, there was no fight. We had a Kawamba. There was no fight. Why should people talk about violence now? If there is any violence which is taking place now, it's better the political parties may ask call for a convention where leaders of political parties will agree so that this violence should come to an end. Madam Speaker, thank you very much.
The honorable member from Mbabala.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Mbabala an opportunity to support the excellent speech by His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, delivered on national values to this August House. Madam Speaker, if one listened and indeed read the speech, then definitely you do appreciate and know that we are making a lot of progress in addressing these national values. The national values are clearly outlined. There are 6 of them, and clearly outlined. Therefore, you cannot come, Madam Speaker, to this House and say, we are receiving the same thing every time. Because the national values are the same. There are 6 of them, and it is the responsibility of us citizens to practice them. And the President is just reporting on how the progress we are making in implementing them and practicing them. Therefore, what we find, Madam Speaker, is a situation where maybe some of the members who are debating here are actually need to be cancelled, because one of the actions here in maintaining morality and ethics includes the fight against alcoholism and substance abuse, which seems to have affected some of the members who are debating and who didn't listen to your speech. Madam Speaker, we see that these members need to be cancelled, Madam
The
Speaker.
honorable member from Mbabala, please don't bring in the other honorable members in your debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm trying to help them, Madam Speaker, because they need help. You know, this country arrested 7,000 people for drug trafficking, and 4,000 people for counseling were cancelled, including withdrawal of children from child marriages. So as the PCC here, we are very happy with this kind of help. So it is in that context that, Madam Speaker, we say those members who did not listen to this speech need help, because they need also this kind of support. When we come to patriotism and national unity, Madam Speaker, I wish to support His Excellency's words of maintaining our symbols, our national symbols, the coat of arms and the national anthem, the flag, and related. Because we have seen a situation where some people want to peddle lies in this country that these are going to be changed. We have seen lies continue even on the money, Madam Speaker, where somebody says, no, the money which is being printed has got the head of state's face. And yet, the Minister of Finance has circulated this clearly, and the President has supported these things clearly, that these are national symbols and national assets. So we have ambassadors of liars, Madam Speaker, who just want to mislead the public and are not patriotic. Therefore, we must visit these people by the law enforcement agencies. When they get visited, they start crying for human rights and freedom of expression. As a transparent government, we invited Madam Khan here to come and look at our human rights in the area of freedom of expression and the like, in terms of democracy and constitutionalism, which is a demonstration of a self-reflection and self-peer review. And it has demonstrated that as a government, we are doing an excellent job in terms of upholding democracy and human rights, the freedoms which our people are enjoying everywhere, countrywide, including in the Mwansabombwe, anywhere in Shangombo, all those places people are talking and doing the things they want. So there is freedom of expression and human rights. Madam Speaker, I want also to talk about in the area of the continued area of national unity, peace and prosperity, where we have seen some of the hate speech, where you glorify hate speech by some sections, where even some political party claims that all those who speak on hate speech are their members. Madam Speaker, that is a total disgrace to such a political party. That is a disgrace, and it's a party which cannot attract membership, because you cannot glorify such kind of talk to your party. Madam Speaker, in the interest of time, I also want to talk about the issue of continued voter registration, and indeed the need for our people to continue registering to vote to maintain this very good government of the UPND New Dawn government. Because this is a government that is working, which has delivered to the people of Mbabara 100%. We have seen the increase of Constituency Development Fund, which we are using ably to build ourselves major assets, such as the Maogwe Clinic, which we are building now with a maternity wing in Mbabara Ward, the police stations we have built in Chirantambo and Macha, the various deep tanks and classrooms such as the Ndawana one, which we have built, 1 by 3, the roads which we have graded, including new roads which were never there, like Mayobo, Narituba, and all those. So for us, we are seeing progress, and we wish for this to be extended or to be increased so that we can benefit more and indeed complement the other activities that are happening which the government has put, such as the social cash transfer and the cash for work and many other programs, including the free education policy that is serving our people, and we have complemented this by buying the desks which we are supporting all our children. This time every child is sitting on a desk in Mbabara constituency. And so these benefits and many more benefits, Madam Speaker, are reaching our people, and that is what the values we have brought to this country. Instead of children sitting on the floor the way it used to be in the previous regime, where they never respected the dignity of these children. Now we respect the dignity of these children by having them to sit on desks, by them having teachers to teach them, by them having enough classroom space, and all the good things that are happening, including now school feeding program that is bringing back over 2 million children that were out of school. And these children, some people have claimed that no, free education is not is brought overcrowding. They would prefer our children to be in homes, to become caponias or junkies or whatever they call them, the drunks. It's like they glorified it during their time in power. Madam Speaker, that was the worst this country has seen, and we should never, ever, Madam Speaker, have such a government like the dead and gone PF, which should never resurrect in this country. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Lumezi.
Madam Speaker, I thank you most sincerely, and permit me to speak to the presidential speech starting with page 3 that spoke to morality and ethics, and permit me to speak to a little bit of what the Honourable MP from Mbabala constituency has mentioned, where they've condemned and they intend to address alcohol consumption amongst the youths and young people, and that the government is doing everything necessary to deter those. How I wished that, Madam Speaker, on morality and ethics, the Honourable Member of Parliament from Mbabala should have also included the aspect of how many members do change Jezebels and harlots at the Speaker's residence. Madam Speaker, as I support...
Order, Honourable Member, I didn't catch what you said. At the Speaker's residence, what is at the Speaker's
where members are accommodated, Madam Speaker, and the word Jezebel is biblical, so is the word harlot. I'm just trying to amplify what the Honourable Member from Mbabala had mentioned. You can't condemn one ugly act and then you are mute on one ugly act. Madam Speaker, the President spoke to peaceful elections in his speech. Madam Speaker, Honourable Mtachalo's vehicle...
The Honourable Member for Lumezi, I had guided much earlier to say, please focus your debate on the speech for the President, by the President. Whatever issues you are bringing in should be married to the speech, the content of the presidential speech. So I don't know where the speaker's residence. Is it somewhere in the speech? Was it mentioned by the president?
Am I allowed to respond?
Honorable member, can you withdraw that? And then you may continue. Let's not start debating ourselves. What the honorable member debated, those are his views. Can you also concentrate on your own views, focusing on the speech by the president? Can you withdraw the speaker's residence and then continue focusing on the and Jezebel as well? You may continue.
I withdraw, Madam Speaker, with your guidance. Madam Speaker, the President on page 3, or page 13 rather, spoke to peaceful elections, and then we tend to wonder, Madam Speaker, when your own Member of Parliament, Honorable Mtachalo's vehicle, is still damaged as a result of a gunshot in the past Petauke by-elections. So where is the sincerity? Madam Speaker, I must mention for the record that whatever the President has said, the most progressive statement that I got was on delimitation. I'll mix my submissions to delimitations based on morality and ethics with the trend. Madam Speaker, Lumezi constituency, as a matter of fact, sits on 9,774 square kilometers. Similarly, Chadiza constituency sits on 1,593 kilometers squared. For an MP in Chadiza to be in this house, one with 42 votes, 42 votes, Madam Speaker. For Lumezi to sit in this house, above 10,000 votes. So when we agree with the President on delimitation, Chadiza is not an individual, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honorable
it's a constituency.
Member. Order. The Honorable Member for Chadiza.
I rarely rise on point of order. Madam Speaker, I'm rising on point of order in pursuant to not debating ourselves. And the 65 was right. And the 71 on factual, on being factual. Madam Speaker, there is no member of Parliament from Chadiza who came with 42 votes here. So is the member who is on the floor, Madam Speaker, in order to insinuate and mislead this House, including the whole nation, that a member of Parliament came with 42 votes here. Madam Speaker, I seek your serious indulgence and ruling on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I had guided. This is the problem when we want to bring in issues which are not in the President's speech. Why are we going to the elections for 2021 so sure of the figures? The Honorable Member for Lumezi, I had guided. As you are debating, be factual, and please avoid bringing in the other honorable members. There's only one MP for Chadiza. So when you say the honorable member for Chadiza, people know that it's Honorable Daka. So please, can you stick to the speech by the President and be factual? You may continue.
Madam Speaker, I sympathize with my fellow colleague because I was trying to support the motion or the opinion of the President on delimitation, but knowing very well that I've got the facts from the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Then, just to give
the
facts,
honorable member, I think I had guided to say don't debate your...
I'm not debating an individual, Madam Speaker. The Chadiza is a constituency, it's not a person. I can mention Lumezi.
Order, honorable member. I think I've guided enough. Let's not debate other members of Parliament. Can you just go straight to your own debate with your own views? If you want to give us an example, please just give Rumezi as your example. You may continue.
Madam Speaker, permit me to finish supporting what the President said. Then I can be interjected. In this fashion, you'll not get my foundation. The certain decisions we support the President are not as a result of because of not being popular in our respective constituencies. Madam Speaker, you cannot have a situation where UPND gets 9,354 votes, an independent member 9,100 votes, PF 9,396. These are Electoral Commission of Zambia results, not my results. It shows that people are trying to convince the UPND using wrong methodologies by supporting the presidential speech with numbers that don't support their popularity, Madam Speaker. I agree with delimitation. Madam Speaker, they will rebut if need be. I'm supporting the President on delimitation, no doubt whatsoever. I support the President 100%, but I will not accept, Madam Speaker, that because someone defeated UPND with 42 votes, coming here to be seen to be a champion, Madam Speaker, then we are doing a disservice to the President. The President knows the people with numbers out there. Madam Speaker, we should not come here and sugarcoat numbers. Numbers don't lie, and the President is consistent. He says numbers don't lie, and the numbers are here. This is from Electoral Commission of Zambia. Madam Speaker, the only challenge I have is that the President should have also condemned his members, and the President should have at least congratulated Lumezi, Presidential Delivery Unit #1 in Eastern Province. He should have congratulated us, Transparency International Zambia #1. Other constituencies that are trending on social media that they share CDF projects with girlfriends. Madam Speaker,
Honorable Member for Rumezi, you are going off now the debate.
I'm concluding, Madam Speaker.
Did the President mention anything concerning CDF and girlfriends? For the people, for you to tell the nation?
No, the President spoke to CDF enhancement, which I appreciate because I'm #1, Madam Speaker. You can't take it away from me.
It didn't even come from the presidential speech, that portion you are mentioning. That is outside information. And if I wanted, I was going to say, can you lay evidence?
Madam Speaker, I'm better than even the Minister of Local Government with CDF.
Can you stick to the debate, Honorable Member, for the last time? Can you stick to your debate?
Yes, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you've made my job very difficult today.
No, because you are going off. And in fact, you are not even supposed to engage me. I'm just supposed to guide you. Those are the rules of the House. We are not supposed to engage one another or to exchange words. We are just supposed to be guided. Because the people are listening. They want to hear your views about the presidential speech. But when you bring in other issues which were not mentioned or which are not related to the presidential speech, I'm afraid I have to curtail or to guide you. That is my job. That is why I'm seated here, to make sure that you are debating in the right direction. So I'm not making your life difficult. I'm just bringing you in the right direction of how the debate should be. So, for the last time, can you please be focused? We've wasted so much time. There is one member who wants to debate. You may continue.
Madam Speaker, when you see your members on your right not raising a point of order, just know they're enjoying the debate. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, this is how much they love my level of engagement with them. Little did I know that the issues of social justice on page 18, how I wish the President should have amplified it, because, Madam Speaker, we've seen a silent fight between the Catholic faithfuls and part of the executive, which must be addressed, because the Catholic faithfuls address social justice, which the executives intend to do. But we hope this will be addressed, because we do not want to see issues escalating beyond people talking to each other. Madam Speaker, I end my submissions in this particular fashion. I thank you.
Thank you. I won't comment. The ministers are going to comment over the Catholic thing, because I'm also Catholic. The Honorable Member for Kankoyo.
I thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in 2006, a delegation from Kenya came to Zambia, got our documents on the CDF, went and implemented exactly what we are doing today. 20 years later, Kenya's economy is far much better than Zambia. It's about $100 billion, $7 billion. In also a recommendation that beyond increasing the CDF, there was a need to increase the number of constituencies here in Zambia. Kenya went to Kenya and increased the number of constituencies from 145 to 220. This helped Kenya to ensure that resources quickly got to the corners of the country, and their GDP was growing, benefiting everyone. Hence, poverty levels in Kenya started reducing. What the President is proposing on delimitation in Zambia is not an idea or it's not a wish. It's something which has worked somewhere else. In Kenya, where they came and copied exactly what we had proposed here in Zambia. Correct. So I want to urge every meaningful member of Parliament here today. This is not about us. Delimitation is not for we members of Parliament. It's for that child in Rufwanyama, that child in Rundazi, that mother, that farmer in Petauke, who is looking for a resource to quickly increase our productivity and contribute to the GDP of Zambia. Madam Speaker, whenever I see the President speaking, all I see in him is sincerity and the wish to leave a better Zambia than we found it. The President knows exactly where we went wrong as a people and what we need to do right. I want to urge all the Zambians out there, please trust the President, President Hakainde Hichilema. What he's proposing is nothing different. It's nothing to do with winning an election. We don't need to win an election through delimitation. If we are to look at the 2021 results, President Hakainde Hichilema won in 110 constituencies. So you don't need to chase numbers anymore. Because in 2021, Zambians already spoke and gave him the mandate beyond the total number of UPND MPs. So when it comes to delimitation, he's here for the benefit of everybody, both on the right and on the left. Delimitation is there to ensure that our economy grows beyond the Lusaka and the Copper Belt. When you look at our national GDP, any economic growth is driven by Copper Belt and the Lusaka. Hence, the GDP doesn't reduce poverty in Shangombo, the GDP doesn't reduce poverty in Vuwi. So if you want to work as a people, grow together, and everybody contributes to the national growth, let's delimitate. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Her Honor, the Vice President, adjournment.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the House now adjourns.
The question is that the House now adjourns. Any debate? Any objection? The question is agreed to. The House is now adjourned.
Good evening, and thank you for still being with us on Parliament. And it's now from the time business resumed at 4. Madam Speaker did make some announcements. In the first announcement, Madam Speaker recognized the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Kaunda Square Secondary School and Pesalozi. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, warmly welcomed the visitors.
In the other announcement, Madam Speaker, the Minister of Mines and Minerals Development was supposed to present a ministerial statement on the statistics of financial support to small-scale miners issued with mining licenses this week. However, due to unforeseen circumstances, the statement will instead be presented next week.
After those announcements, urgent matters without notice were considered, and thereafter the House proceeded into considering the first ministerial statement, which was rendered by Honorable Sylvia T. Masebo MP, and this ministerial statement was on the development of guidelines for sustainable utilization of wetlands in Zambia.
The Minister said a total of 8 wetlands have so far been designated as wetlands of international importance in Zambia, namely the Kapue Flats, Bangweulu Swamps, Barotse Flood Plains, Luangwa Flood Plains, Busanga Swamps, Tipa and Lake Tanganyika. She said that these important ecosystems provide benefits and ecosystem services such as fresh water supply, food and building materials, flood control and groundwater recharge, and nutrient recycling.
The minister went on to state that millions of Zambians directly depend on wetlands for agriculture, fisheries, livestock, rearing, and much more through wetlands-dependent industries like tourism, commercial agriculture, and water transportation.
Regardless of the importance of wetlands ecosystems to Zambians' socio-economic development, the minister did say that the country has not been spared from threats and challenges faced by wetlands. She said Zambians' wetlands face degradation, which is caused by pollution, unsustainable land use practices, invasive alien species, climate change, encroachment, fires, overfishing, poaching, as well as an increase in unplanned human settlements.
And the Honorable Masebo went on to state that the impact of drought already mentioned, including other various threats to wetland resources, cannot be overlooked, and this is because these are causing a high demand for land in wetland resources and for investments such as agriculture. This is due to the fact that in the midst of droughts, wetlands remain potential ecosystems for investments.
In this regard, the minister said the government of the Republic of Zambia, through her ministry, has developed guidelines to provide for the sustainable utilization of wetlands in the country, and also to provide for monitoring and quality assurance procedures.
She further stated that the guidelines will support the current national wetlands policy by sufficiently providing for an effective coordination mechanism, since there is no specific law designed for wetlands conservation and protection in the country.
Therefore, she did say that in the medium to long term, she said that the country will benefit from having well-managed wetlands resources that will support sustainable development and livelihoods.
And in concluding her ministerial statement, she did state that government, through the ministry, will continue to seek partnerships with line ministries, non-governmental organizations, and civil society organizations to fully actualize the guidelines as quickly as possible. And so those are the details of the ministerial statement that Honorable Sylvia T. Masebo presented on the floor of the House.
We also had a ministerial statement on a submission of revised edition of the laws of Zambia. This was presented by Honorable Princess Kasune MP, who is the Minister of Justice. The Minister said Act number 9 of 1968 mandates the ministry through the Commission on Revision of Laws under the direction of the learned Attorney General to prepare the revised edition of the laws of Zambia and arrange for the printing and publication of these revised laws. Further, she said that Section 9 of the laws of Zambia, Act 1968, mandates her office to specify the cut-off date for revision through a statutory instrument.
She went on to state that pursuant to those powers, on 21st April 2020, the ministry issued the Laws of Zambia Act, specified notice statutory instrument number 34 of 2020, and set 31st December 2019 as the cut-off date for purposes of the revision. Following the issuance of the statutory instrument, the Commissioner Revision of Laws proceeded to prepare the revised edition of the laws of Zambia for the period 1997 to 2019.
The Minister informed the House that the laws that were last revised were 2 decades ago. As a result, the current revised edition of the laws of Zambia in many cases contains laws that are no longer applicable, as these laws have since been repealed or amended, thereby rendering the use of the current revised edition redundant.
And the Minister also stated that the revision of the laws will enable courts and law enforcement officers operate with greater ease and efficiency, as all amendments and statutory instruments affecting a particular act have been consolidated into one. Those are the details of the ministerial statement that was rendered by the Minister of Justice.
After those ministerial statements, the House went on to consider one question for oral answer under Standing Order 80. This one came from Milanzi Member of Parliament, Ms. Melesiana Piri, and she directed her question to the Minister of Education. She wanted to find out whether the government has any plans to upgrade the following schools in Milanzi Parliamentary Constituency to government schools. These are Mutila Sembe and Mulemeka, and the Minister did say that government has already taken the necessary steps of upgrading the schools. In the other parts of the question, she wanted to find out if so, when the plans will be implemented, and if there are no such plans, why. The Minister did say that government has already taken the necessary steps of upgrading the schools.
And thereafter, the Geological and Minerals Bill, National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2024, came up for second reading. The bill was read the second time, and committee stage will be taken on Thursday, 20th March 2021.
After that, we had a resumption of debate on a motion of thanks, the President's address, a motion of 4th March 2025, that was moved by Kanchivia Member of Parliament, Mr. Sande Chanda, that the thanks of this Assembly be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the President's address.
And so, yes, Matimba, that's basically the business considered. On behalf of Matimba Mkua and the entire production crew, we wish you a pleasant evening. Continue watching Parliament Television.